So if you're someone who's ever wondered why there are 10 Fast and Furious movies, why influencers won't stop infiltrating Hollywood, or why every new movie is just another reboot or sequel, then this show might just be your new therapy session. The Studio is the new series on Apple TV Plus starring Seth Rogen that follows a legacy Hollywood movie studio striving to survive in a world where it is becoming increasingly difficult for art and business to coexist harmoniously. So as someone that has been obsessed with not only the movies, but the actual business behind it for as long as I can remember, this show was pretty much tailor-made for somebody like me. If you enjoy hearing about pitch meetings, production stories, the editing process, and everything else that goes on behind the scenes, your prayers have pretty much been answered with this television show. Basically, when you find yourself looking for a series that mixes Curb Your Enthusiasm with the off-screen drama of Don't Worry Darling, Seth Rogen's got you covered. So I really didn't know what to expect when I sat down to watch this show, but as a movie lover, I just wanted it to find a way to authentically dissect this industry and take me on an entertaining ride from start to finish. And even though it's not perfect, I was surprised by just how funny, smart, and entertaining this first season of The Studio was. Now let's start by talking about the overall vibe they decided to go with here, because I feel like from the jump, this show is kind of targeting a pretty niche audience. Like, I don't know how many people are going to be interested in following the trials and tribulations of a fake movie studio, even though it is so undoubtedly my shit, but each episode is a lot more standalone and contained than I was expecting it to be at first glance. Obviously, there are recurring characters that show up every other episode or so, and there is a larger goal in mind, but it's almost like a series of long vignettes more than anything else. The way some of the episodes are structured is actually pretty creative. One of them is centered around a director filming an intricate continuous shot, so the episode is done that way too. Another's all about a missing reel of film, so it's structured like an old school hard-boiled detective movie, and that decision keeps things interesting the entire way through. Now, since this is a comedy, we have to talk about the actual quality of the writing here, because I always say that in the last 20 years, no genre has suffered and taken a nosedive more than the modern comedy. Everything is either overly sanitized or just a retread of something much funnier from back in the day, pretty much making this a must-watch because it's just a breath of fresh air when you consider how the rest of the landscape has been looking over recent years. Longtime writing partners Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg pen the vast majority of this thing and actually direct all of it, and given their track record and experience within the movie industry, this is exactly the type of duo you want behind a series like this. It's seriously been a while since I've consistently laughed while watching any TV show, but this is really good. It's funny, it's creative, and it's surprisingly current, like it was somehow filmed in the last couple of weeks. Soulless blockbusters, social media outrage, film studio acquisitions, it is all in here. I will say though, there are a couple of episodes along the way where I think some of the situations our characters find themselves in might veer a little too much into the absurdist comedy realm for my liking, especially when you consider that the series has this more grounded and realistic tone to it overall. It just felt a little below the high caliber of writing we see on display for the majority of the season outside of those moments, but even when that happens, it's still all very entertaining, just more surface level too. When it comes to the performances, obviously Seth Rogen is really the star of the show here. He's the only guy who's pretty much front and center in every episode of the season, other than Ike Barinholtz, and he does a really good job in this. His usual trademark shtick of playing a guy that's relatable and easy to root for, but is also kind of pathetic at the same time too, works well for the role of this stressed out studio head. And the series is probably at its best when the two of them are on screen together and have been dropped into some time-sensitive shitstorm that they probably created and have to find a way to salvage a movie, a presentation, a meeting, whatever. And the core recurring cast is pretty strong overall. They add a lot of laughs and pressure to the whole experience. But not everyone absolutely knocks it out of the park here, since the group we focus on are kind of embodying over-the-top caricatures of different departments that make up a movie studio. I feel like your mileage may vary with some of them, and I'm usually a Catherine Hahn fan, but whatever she was doing for the entirety of this series just wasn't working for me, unfortunately. She just didn't seem to understand the assignment at all as far as I'm concerned. On the other hand, though, there are a ton of little bit roles throughout the season from people like Adam Scott, Zoe Kravitz, Zac Efron, Bryan Cranston, and a bunch of other well-known actors who are either playing a character or an exaggerated version of themselves, and it's a lot of fun seeing them randomly pop up. Overall, guys, The Studio is definitely a well-constructed and creative comedy comedy series that is perfect for someone who is obsessed with all aspects of the movie-making business. The writing is pretty much always on point, the cinematography expertly homages specific genres of film, and Seth Rogen is really good as the studio head trying to balance both creativity and profits. There are a couple episodes that stall the momentum a little bit and prevent it from being the best of the best, but it is definitely an experience that's worth your time, and I hope we end up getting 10 seasons of this thing. The studio gets a Sully score of 4 stars. So that's my review of Apple's latest series. What do you think is your favorite movie about making a movie? I'm gonna go with Boogie Nights from Paul Thomas Anderson, but let me know in the comments below what you think. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys at the next one.